Some of the people I love and respect the most are people whose politics I totally disagree with. There was a guy from the state legislature pushing a bill to delay the permitting of all these coal plants. And he was this conservative Republican saying, we need more time on this, there's no reason to ram this through so quickly, we need to do health studies, we need to do environmental studies.
It was just amazing to me when I walked out of the doors to the Capitol there. Even before we got there, I could hear all the bands, and we opened the door, an airplane with the banner and several thousand people from all different walks of life. I knew it was the right thing to do. There's tremendous pressure not to go there. Sure makes it a lot easier if you depend on your faith.
The signs of the degradation of the natural world are becoming harder and harder to ignore.
When I first moved to Texas 30 years ago, the water was clean, the air was clean, and now you can't eat any fish out of any of the urban lakes.
Somebody who cherishes the out of doors understands that all of that can be lost because it's all connected. There isn't Texas air and Oklahoma air and, Maine air. It's the air that we all breathe. That idea, this matrix of interdependence, there is no more spiritual issue than this.
Jews, Muslims, Christians, Baha'is, Buddhists, Mormons are environmentalists, even if they don't like the word. If you believe God put us on the earth to take care of the earth and to take care of each other, then you are a steward of creation.
You think back to when our economy was primarily an agrarian economy and how people of faith who were farmers would also cherish the land. What's happened in our urban cultures and our church cultures that have become highly air-conditioned and isolated from the environment is sometimes we've taken that creation for granted.
Our whole basis of freedom and doing what we want to do all ties in with using our resources correctly, using the land and the water correctly.
When I think back and remember how scary it was to get into the pulpit and talk about global warming, I took an enormous risk. There were ministers who said that this was a political issue, it shouldn't come into the church. There were definitely moments when I thought, maybe I'm wrong and everybody else is right.
In the spring a couple of years ago, I read that TXU was going to be building several coal plants within a 15-mile radius of Waco. I was horrified. I kept hoping that someone would do something about it, and they didn't. A member of my church and a couple of other people who are not normally associated with the environmental movement approached me. It was a bit of a lonely battle, kind of stepping out of the norm.
In the news on those same days was this increasing amount of sort of climate change stuff. It seemed like such a stunning step backwards.
And there was 9 of those pulverized coal plants, which is a 19th century technology program for within 50 miles of where we're standing. If you expand that 50 miles out to 100 miles, well, now you got 16 million Texans. Having some scientific background helped in this scenario big time.
There was a legislator named Doc Anderson. He's a veterinarian by trade. He's been serving just a couple of terms. And as a legislator, you have access to information. You know in 5 years or 10 years, this is going to have a bad impact.
It was promoted to be a great job creator and that there'd be a lot of money for the community and a lot of tax base. You can cut off your nose to spite your face.
I wrote dozens of op-ed pieces and letters to the editor. I was surprised at how much behind the scenes I was supported. People didn't want that, but it's frightening to step out in front of that kind of power and money and authority and fight it.
I put a moratorium forward, and I was a lone voice for a long time in the legislature.
For a short-term Republican legislator to come out with a moratorium on a giant utility company, that is a politically risky thing to do.
I had a press conference and I asked several of my colleagues to stand behind me when we had that. So I was looking around and nobody showed. My chief says, "Doc, you gonna go forward with this?" I said, "Yeah." The media was assembled there, and so it was just me and the good Lord and my wife sitting in the audience, and we went forward with the press conference. And the morning after, I had the number 2 guy from TXU in my office. They hired 36 lobbyists, and so everywhere I went in the Capitol, there was a lot of, "Doc, you give up yet?" you're about ready to give up yet?
If you find a neighbor who agrees with you on a particular issue, you can partner with them around that issue, and you don't have to share their entire worldview.
Democrat or Republican or environmentalists and non-environmental, we have to be able to work with people and reach a hand out to folks, because oftentimes they'll come back to you. And there were some folks, the Southern Baptist General Convention, they started to catch on what's the deal. They're calling and asking what the story was.
We didn't want to be aligned with the coal companies. We wanted to be aligned with the communities. Having the Baptists speak up on this, that was kind of a weird thing, you know?
The faith community is not about issues. What's changing is people of faith are understanding their responsibility not just to appreciate the environment as a personal relationship, but to help make the policy decisions that are going to care for the creation in the future.
There was this demonstration against the coal plants.
And a lot of religious people, especially who cared about the environment, got really worked up about this and said, you know, like, we're getting more and more data about global warming, and we know, like, what the particulate matter the coal plants do in terms of asthma and stuff like that. I was there. Some other people from the Jewish community were there.
People of faith can come together and make good things happen. Religion played a big role in that.
We really do need to grasp onto this issue, because it's all about our kids and our grandkids. And you'll get some bruises from time to time, but it's just part of the process.
It may already be too late and we just don't know it. But if there's any hope, we can't waste a day. We can't waste a minute. We need to start now. We need to start with radical change. We're all in this together. And we need to work on it together.
If we really believe that something is right, we've got to take risk. It's scary, but it's an act of faith. It's what we're called to do, be the stewards of creation.
My grandson was born in April, and I adore my grandson. I see the world ahead. I see the world ahead through his eyes, and I want him to grow up in a world where the air is clean and the water's clean, and he can swim and eat the fish out of the lakes and not have to worry about it.
I am not the ultimate measure of things. There is a measure of things that's greater than me, and I'm responsible to that.
You know in the deepest part of you when you're doing the right thing. I am the Reverend Sally Bingham, and I invite you to get involved with the Interfaith Power and Light program. You can do this by going to our website at interfaithpowerandlight.org, click on your state, and send an email to the person that is the representative for that state.